By 1788, more than two-thirds of laborers in factories were children. Famous labor rights activist and worker Pauline Newman once reminisced, "We were young, 8, 9, 10 years old. The hours were from 7:30 in the morning to 6:30 at night when it wasn't busy. When the busy season was on, we worked until 9 o'clock. No overtime pay, not even supper money. My wages were $1.50 for a 7-day week." The conditions in factories were tough. Many lost limbs, their hearing or sight, and also developed a wide range of diseases, some deadly. Child workers rarely had suitable clothing for the volatile temperatures they had to endure. Most of them didn't even have shoes on. They worked for a long time without breaks, sometimes 19 hours in a single day. The lack of sleep and comfort led to exhaustion. Some went to sleep and fell into the machine they were supposed to manage, killed immediately. The machinery in factories was extremely dangerous. It was easy for the kids to accidentally crush their hands or other body parts. If a kid's hair got tangled in the machine, their whole scalp could be torn off. Child workers also breathed in toxic substances and/or chemicals. The machinery in factories was extremely dangerous. It was easy for the kids to accidentally crush their hands or other body parts. If a kid's hair got tangled in the machine, their whole scalp could be torn off. Child workers also breathed in toxic substances and/or chemicals, like phosphorus, which caused the teeth of those exposed to it to rot. The kids were beaten and harshly disciplined when their work did not please the overseer. Often, a child that had misbehaved or was tardy to work would be raided. The boss would tie a heavy weight around the child's neck and force them to walk around the factory naked. Waiting served as both a cruel punishment and a warning to the other children, scaring them into submission with the horrible idea of what could happen if they did not work hard enough. Waiting lasted for up to an hour and afterwards caused severe neck or back injuries. There were also women working in factories. They were discriminated against because of their sex, even though they did as much hard labor as men. As a result of prejudice, women received a smaller portion of their already minuscule salary than that of their male co-workers and struggled to support their families. Their workspace was small, cramped, and uncomfortable, many of them working in unhealthy factories like those of the children. In 1835, many workers who had joined unions went on strike. They refused to labor until their shift was limited to 10 hours. Reluctantly, owners of factories and other companies obliged. The American Federation of Labor was established in 1886. Samuel Gophers, who founded the AFL, was well-liked and elected president every year until he died. He possessed great leadership skills. Gophers was a kind man who tried to solve problems between civil unions with minimum violence, but he wasn't a coward. He stood strong to his beliefs and approved of war against cruel employers when necessary. He grew up in a financially disadvantaged Jewish household, taking hold of little education before he was sent away at the age of 10 to be a cigar maker to help out his family. Regarding his work, Gophers wrote, "The tobacco leaf was prepared by strippers who drew the leaves from the heavy stem and put them into pads of about 50. The leaves had to be handled carefully to prevent tearing. The craftsmanship of the cigar maker was shown in his ability to utilize wrappers to the best advantage, to shave off the unusable to a hairbreadth, to roll so as to cover these holes in the leaf, and to use both hands so as to make a perfectly shaped and rolled product. These things a good cigar maker learned to do more or less mechanically, which left us free to think, talk, listen, or sing. I loved the freedom of that work, for I had earned mind freedom that accompanied skill as a craftsman. I was eager to learn from discussion and reading or to pour out my feelings in song." Many people smoked cigars back then, and it was a huge part of the culture. So a job as a cigar maker was very important and viewed as prestigious almost. Some unions, such as the poorly organized and later disbanded Knights of Labor, did not allow women to join, but women still had a very important role in labor rights and made sure their voices were heard. Pauline Newman was a member of the International Ladies Garment Workers Union and a believer in women's rights. In 1807, when the Depression made many people unable to pay high rent, 16-year-old Newman organized the largest rent strike New York had ever seen, with 10,000 families backing her up. It was controversial and inspired many strikes to follow. It seemed as if significant improvements were being made, yet some issues were still not resolved. 50,000 people, a third of Americans belonging to the working class, were unemployed.